The turning point wasn't even the bed. It was the next morning when I grabbed my phone and saw a photo already posted in our Coworker group chat. My heels on the floor, his watch on the pillow, and my laugh in the caption like it was a joke. I tried to act annoyed, like my boyfriend was overreacting, but then I noticed something worse. My own voice message, sent at 3:10 a.m., slurring that I didn't want to go home yet. When my boyfriend played it back in front of me, the room went cold, and I finally understood why his face changed. But let me back up. My name is Lysandra Vane, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a project manager at Henderson & Associates, a mid-sized consulting firm in downtown Chicago. My boyfriend, Simon Greaves, and I have been together for 4 years, living together for 2. He's an IT consultant, steady and reliable, maybe too reliable for someone like me who craves excitement. That Friday night started innocently enough. Our team had just closed a major deal, and Danny Harlow, our charming junior analyst, suggested we celebrate at Skyline, the trendy rooftop bar 3 blocks from our office. Danny was 29, with dark hair that always looked perfectly tousled, and a smile that made even our stern boss, Margaret, laugh during meetings. "Come on, Lys," Danny had said, using the nickname that made my stomach flutter. "You've been working yourself to death on this project. Live a little." Simon had texted earlier saying he'd be working late on a server migration, so I figured why not? I deserved to celebrate. I'd put in 60-hour weeks for the past month. The shots started around 9. Tequila, then vodka, then something blue that Danny ordered for the whole table. Our co-workers, Jennifer from accounting, Mike from sales, Sarah from HR, were all there, laughing and taking photos. The city lights blurred together as the alcohol hit my system. "Let's get a group photo," Jennifer had squealed, holding up her phone. But somehow the group dispersed, and it was just Danny and me in the frame, his arm around my waist, both of us grinning stupidly at the camera. The last thing I clearly remembered was Danny saying his apartment was closer than mine, and me nodding, the world spinning slightly as we stumbled into an Uber together. Now, Saturday morning, I was staring at my phone screen in horror. The group chat had exploded overnight with messages I didn't remember sending. Lysandra, 3:10 a.m. "Dan and E's place is so nice. Don't want to go home yet, lol." Lysandra, 3:47 a.m. "Simon's probably asleep anyway, haha." Jennifer, 8:23 a.m. "Girl, you two looked cozy last night." Mike, 8:45 a.m. "Posted that pic of you guys. Cute couple vibes." My heart sank as I scrolled up to see the photo Mike had posted. There we were, Danny and me, clearly in his bedroom. My black heels were kicked off carelessly by the foot of the bed. His expensive watch sat on the pillow beside where my head had been. We were both fully clothed, thank God, but we were lying on top of the covers together, his arm draped over me protectively. The caption read, "When the celebration goes too hard, when team bonding, jabber work family." I heard Simon's key in the front door and quickly tried to delete the messages, but my hands were shaking. The apartment door opened just as I managed to clear my own messages from the chat. "Hey babe," I called out, trying to sound normal. "You're up early for a Saturday." Simon walked into our bedroom, still in yesterday's clothes. His brown hair was disheveled, and there were dark circles under his usually bright blue eyes. He held up his phone. "Care to explain this?" His voice was eerily calm. On his screen was a screenshot someone had sent him, the same photo from our group chat, along with my voice messages. "Oh, that," I laughed, hoping I sounded casual. "We all went out after work to celebrate the Morrison deal closing. I guess I had a few too many and crashed at Danny's place. Nothing happened, obviously." Simon's jaw tightened. "You sent voice messages at 3 in the morning saying you didn't want to come home." "I was drunk, Simon. People say stupid things when they're drunk." I stood up and moved toward him, but he stepped back. "Play the message," he said quietly. "What?" "Play the voice message you sent. I want to hear it again." With trembling fingers, I found the message in our chat history and pressed play. My own voice filled the room, slurred and giggly. "Hey, baby. I'm at Danny's place and it's so nice, like really nice. I don't want to go home yet. Don't wait up. Love you." The silence that followed was deafening. Nothing happened, I repeated, but the words sounded hollow even to me. Simon sat down heavily on our bed, the bed we'd picked out together at IKEA, the bed where we'd planned our future, talked about maybe getting married next year, maybe starting a family. "Lysandra," he said slowly, "I need you to be honest with me. Did you sleep with him?" "No." The word came out too fast, too sharp. "God, Simon, why would you even ask that? We're co-workers. We were celebrating. I had too much to drink and needed somewhere to crash. That's it." But even as I said it, I could feel the doubt creeping in. I remembered flirting with Danny at the bar, remembered the way he'd looked at me when he suggested going back to his place, remembered the electricity I'd felt when his hand had touched mine as we'd shared that last shot. Simon was scrolling through his phone now, his face growing paler by the second. "What are you looking at?" I asked. He turned the screen toward me. It was another photo from the group chat, one I hadn't seen before. This one showed Danny and me from a different angle. My hand was resting on his chest, both of us clearly asleep, looking for all the world like a couple. "Jennifer just posted this one," Simon said, 20 minutes ago. My stomach dropped. "Simon, I can explain." "Can you?" He stood up abruptly. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my girlfriend of 4 years got drunk and spent the night with another man. And instead of calling me to pick her up, or taking an Uber home, or even sleeping on his couch, she got into his bed with him. We were drunk. It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Lysandra? Help me understand." I could hear the pain in his voice now, underneath the anger. Part of me wanted to tell him the truth, that I'd been feeling restless in our relationship lately, that Danny made me feel young and exciting in a way Simon didn't anymore, that maybe I had wanted something to happen, even if nothing actually did. Instead, I doubled down. "You're being dramatic," I said, crossing my arms. "You're acting like I cheated on you when all I did was have a few drinks with my co-workers. This is exactly why I didn't call you. I knew you'd overreact like this." Simon stared at me for a long moment. "Overreact?" "Yes. You're turning an innocent night out into some kind of betrayal. It's exhausting, Simon. I feel like I can't even have friends without you getting suspicious." "Friends don't end up in each other's beds, Lysandra." "We didn't end up anywhere. We fell asleep. On top of the covers. Fully clothed. You're making it sound sordid when it was completely innocent." But even as I said the words, I knew how they sounded. I knew how the photos looked. And deep down, I knew that if the situation were reversed, if Simon had spent the night in some female co-worker's bed and sent me drunk messages about not wanting to come home, I would be furious. Simon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression darkened further. "What now?" I asked. "It's from my mum. Someone sent her the photos." My heart sank. Jen Greaves had never particularly liked me. She thought I was too ambitious, too focused on my career, not domestic enough for her precious son. This would be all the ammunition she needed. "Great," I muttered. "Now your whole family is going to think I'm some kind of slut." "Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to spend the night with another man." The words hit me like a slap. "How dare you?" "How dare I what? Be upset that my girlfriend is all over social media cuddled up with some guy from her office?" "I'm not all over social media. It's one photo in a private group chat." A private group chat that apparently includes half of Chicago, since my mother saw it. I felt cornered, defensive. "You know what, Simon? Maybe this is really about you being insecure. Maybe you can't handle that I have a life outside of this relationship. A life that includes sleeping in other men's beds. I told you nothing happened. And I'm supposed to just take your word for it, when you're lying there with your hand on his chest, looking like you belong there." I wanted to scream at him. to tell him he was being ridiculous and controlling. But the truth was, I couldn't remember much of what had happened after we'd gotten to Danny's apartment. I remembered him offering me a glass of wine, remembered sitting on his couch talking about work, remembered feeling dizzy and him suggesting I lie down for a minute. Everything after that was a blur. My phone buzzed with a text from my sister Petra. "Girl, Mum just called me freaking out about some photos. Call me ASAP." Then another from my mother herself. "Lysandra, what is this nonsense Jean Greaves is spreading about you? Call me immediately." And then, worst of all, a message in the group chat from Danny himself. "Sorry about last night, Liz. Hope you got home okay and your boyfriend isn't too mad." Simon was reading over my shoulder. "Hope your boyfriend isn't too mad," he repeated. "What exactly is he apologizing for?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I was drunk. I don't remember everything that happened." "You don't remember?" Simon's voice was dangerously quiet now. "You don't remember what you did with him?" "No, I remember some things. We talked. I felt sick from all the alcohol and he let me lie down. That's it. On his bed. With him. I guess so, yes." Simon stood up and walked to our closet, pulling out a duffel bag. "What are you doing?" I asked, panic rising in my throat. "I'm going to stay at my brother's place for a few days. I need some time to think about this." "Simon, no. You're overreacting. Please, can we just talk about this like adults?" He turned to face me, and I was shocked by the pain I saw in his eyes. "I am trying to be an adult about this, Lysandra, but I can't look at you right now without seeing that photo. I can't stop thinking about you in another man's bed, telling him you didn't want to come home to me." "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" he exploded. "Because I've been trying all morning to come up with an innocent explanation, and I can't find one. My girlfriend got drunk and went home with another man. She got into his bed. She sent me messages saying she didn't want to come home. And now she's telling me I'm being dramatic for being upset about it." I felt tears starting to form, but I blinked them back. "You're right," I said quietly. "I'm sorry. It was stupid and thoughtless, and I should have come home." Simon paused in his packing. "Are you saying that because you mean it or because you want me to stay?" The question hung in the air between us. I wanted to tell him I meant it, but the truth was more complicated. Part of me was sorry. Sorry for hurting him. Sorry for the mess this had created. But another part of me was angry that he couldn't just trust me. Angry that one mistake was apparently enough to make him walk away. "I mean it," I said finally. He nodded slowly. "Okay, but I still need some space. This isn't just about last night, Lysandra. This is about the fact that you thought it was okay to do what you did. And then when I got upset about it, your first instinct was to make me feel like I was the problem." He zipped up his bag and headed for the door. "Simon, wait." He stopped but didn't turn around. "I love you," I said. "I love you too," he replied. "But right now, that's not enough." And then he was gone, leaving me alone with my phone full of incriminating photos and a growing certainty that my life was about to get much more complicated. Monday morning at Henderson & Associates felt like walking into a minefield. I'd spent the entire weekend fielding calls from family members, deleting social media posts, and crafting the perfect explanation for what had happened Friday night. By the time I walked into the office, I had my story straight. Danny and I were friends, I'd had too much to drink, and Simon was being unreasonably jealous about an innocent situation. The problem was, Danny seemed to have a different version of events. "Hey there, Trouble," he said with a grin when I walked past his cubicle. "How's the boyfriend situation? Still in the doghouse?" I forced a smile, acutely aware that Jennifer and Mike were within earshot. "Everything's fine. Simon was just being a little protective." "Protective?" Danny laughed. "That's one way to put it. Most guys would be pretty pissed if their girl spent the night in another dude's bed." My cheeks burned. "Danny, can we not—" I get it," he continued, seemingly oblivious to my discomfort. "If I had a girlfriend who looked like you, I'd probably be jealous too." Jennifer looked up from her desk, eyebrows raised. Mike had stopped pretending to work entirely and was now openly listening to our conversation. "I should get to my office," I said quickly. "Sure thing. But hey, if you ever need a place to crash again..." Danny winked, and I wanted to disappear into the floor. I hurried to my office and closed the door, but I could already hear the whispers starting. By lunch, the entire floor would know that Danny Harlow was openly flirting with me, and that my boyfriend was apparently pissed about Friday night. My phone buzzed with a text from Simon. "Can we talk tonight? I'm coming by around 7 to get some more clothes." I stared at the message, trying to read between the lines. Was this a good sign? Did he want to work things out? Or was he just being polite while he slowly moved out of our apartment? Before I could respond, my office door opened and Margaret, our department head, walked in. "Lysandra, do you have a minute?" Margaret was in her 50s, with steel grey hair and a no-nonsense attitude that had earned her respect throughout the company. She was also known for staying out of office gossip, which made her presence in my office particularly ominous. "Of course," I said, gesturing to the chair across from my desk. Margaret closed the door behind her and sat down. "I wanted to talk to you about Friday night." My stomach dropped. "Friday night?" "The team celebration. I understand things got a bit festive." I tried to keep my voice steady. "We were celebrating the Morrison deal. I may have had a bit too much to drink, but nothing inappropriate happened." Margaret nodded slowly. "I'm sure you're aware that there are photos circulating from that evening. Photos that some people might interpret as compromising." "They're just photos of coworkers having fun," I said defensively. "There's nothing inappropriate about them." "Lysandra, I like you. You're a good project manager and you work hard. But I need you to understand that perception matters in this business. Our clients trust us to be professional, and that extends to how we conduct ourselves outside the office." "Are you saying I was unprofessional?" "I'm saying that sleeping in a male colleague's bed and posting photos about it on social media shows poor judgment, especially when that colleague is someone you supervise." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I hadn't even thought about the power dynamic between Danny and me. As a project manager, I was technically his superior, which made the whole situation even more problematic from an HR perspective. "I understand your concern," I said carefully, "but I want to be clear that nothing inappropriate happened between Danny and me. We're friends and colleagues, nothing more." "I hope that's true," Margaret said, "because if there's any kind of romantic or sexual relationship between you two, it needs to be disclosed to HR immediately. We have policies about workplace relationships, especially between supervisors and their direct reports." After Margaret left, I sat in my office with my head in my hands. This was spiraling out of control faster than I could manage it. What had started as an innocent night out was now threatening my professional reputation and my relationship with Simon. I decided to take a proactive approach. If I could control the narrative, maybe I could minimize the damage. I started with the group chat, posting a message designed to shut down any speculation. "Hey everyone, just wanted to clear the air about Friday night. I know the photos probably looked weird, but Danny was just being a good friend and letting me crash when I was too drunk to get home safely. Nothing happened, obviously. Thanks for a fun night, and let's keep celebrating our amazing team victory." Then I called my sister Petra. "Finally," she said when she picked up. "Mum has been driving me crazy all weekend asking about these photos." "What the hell happened?" I gave Petra my carefully crafted version of events. Too much to drink, innocent sleepover, Simon overreacting due to insecurity. "Okay, but Lise," Petra said when I finished, "you have to admit it looks bad. I mean, you're literally cuddled up with this guy in his bed." "We weren't cuddling. We just fell asleep." "With your hand on his chest?" "I was drunk, Petra. I probably didn't even realize I was doing it." "And you really don't remember anything else happening?" The question I'd been dreading. "No," I said firmly. "Nothing happened." But even as I said it, I had flashes of memory. Danny's hand on my back as he'd helped me to his bedroom, The way he'd looked at me when I'd said I was dizzy, the feeling of his arms around me as we'd fallen asleep. "Well, for what it's worth," Petra said, "I think Simon is being dramatic. You've been together for 4 years. If he can't trust you after one mistake, maybe he's not the right guy for you." "That's what I've been thinking," I said, grateful to finally have someone on my side. "Mom agrees, by the way. She thinks Simon's being controlling." That was a relief. My mother, Elaine, had always been protective of me, and having her support would be crucial if this situation got worse. The rest of the day passed in a blur of awkward conversations and sideways glances from coworkers. Danny seemed completely oblivious to the tension he'd created, continuing to flirt with me openly and making jokes about our sleepover to anyone who would listen. By the time 7 p.m. rolled around, I was exhausted and anxious about seeing Simon. I'd rehearsed what I wanted to say, a sincere apology combined with a gentle reminder that his jealousy was becoming a problem in our relationship. When he arrived, he looked tired and older somehow, like he'd aged years in the past 3 days. "How are you?" I asked as he headed toward the bedroom. "I've been better," he said without looking at me. I followed him into the bedroom and watched as he gathered more clothes from the closet. "Simon, I've been thinking about what you said, and I want you to know that I understand why you were upset." He paused in his packing. "Do you?" "Yes. I made a mistake. I should have come home Friday night, or at least called you to let you know where I was. I'm sorry." Simon nodded slowly. "I appreciate that. But," I continued, "I also think we need to talk about the bigger issue here, which is trust. We've been together for 4 years, and if you can't trust me after one incident—" "One incident?" Simon turned to face me. "Lysandra, this isn't just about Friday night. This is about a pattern." "What pattern?" "You've been different lately. Distant. You work late all the time, you're always on your phone, and you've been talking about Danny constantly for months." I felt defensive again. "He's my colleague. We work together." "You told me last month that he was so funny and really talented and probably going to be promoted soon. You've never talked about any other coworker like that." "That's ridiculous. I talk about work all the time." "Not like that, you don't." Simon sat down on the edge of the bed. "And then Friday night happens, and instead of being horrified by how it looked, your first instinct was to tell me I was being dramatic. Because you were. Was I, though?" Simon pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot. "This is what Oliver sent me yesterday." I looked at the screen and felt my blood run cold. It was a photo from Friday night that I hadn't seen before, one taken at the bar, before we'd left for Danny's place. In it, Danny and I were standing very close together, his hand resting on my lower back, both of us laughing at something. We looked like a couple. "Where did this come from?" I asked. "Jennifer posted it on Instagram, tagged you and Danny with a heart emoji." I stared at the photo, trying to remember when it had been taken. We'd definitely been flirting that night. I could admit that much to myself, even if I couldn't admit it to Simon. "This doesn't prove anything," I said weakly, "doesn't it?" Simon stood up. "Look, I've been talking to Oliver and my mom about this situation. You've been talking to your family about our relationship. They're worried about me, Lysandra. They can see how much this is affecting me." "And what did they say?" I asked, though I was pretty sure I already knew. "They think I should be careful. They think maybe you're not as committed to this relationship as I am." I felt a surge of anger. Your mother has never liked me. She's probably thrilled that she finally has an excuse to turn you against me. This isn't about my mother. This is about you and me and the fact that I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Because of one night, one mistake. Because of how you've handled this whole situation. Because instead of being apologetic and understanding why I'm upset, you've been defensive and dismissive. Because you keep calling it a mistake instead of acknowledging what it really was. Which is what? Simon looked me straight in the eye. Cheating. The word hung in the air between us like a bomb. "I didn't cheat on you," I said quietly. "Maybe not physically, but emotionally, yeah, I think you did. I wanted to argue with him, to tell him he was wrong, but something about the way he said it made me pause. Had I been emotionally cheating with Danny? I thought about all the times I'd looked forward to seeing him at work, all the times I'd laughed a little too hard at his jokes, all the times I'd compared his easy confidence to Simon's steady reliability and found Simon lacking. I love you, I said instead. I know you do, Simon replied, but I don't think you're in love with me anymore, and I don't think you have been for a while. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and frowned. What is it? I asked. It's a message from someone I don't know. They sent me another photo from Friday night. He showed me the screen, and I felt the world tilt sideways. The photo showed Danny and me in the Uber on the way to his apartment. I was leaning against him, my eyes closed, and he was looking down at me with an expression that was unmistakably tender. Who sent this? I whispered. I don't know. The number isn't in my contacts. My phone buzzed at the same moment with a text from an unknown number. Thought your boyfriend should see what really happened Friday night. There are more photos if he's interested. I showed Simon the message, and I watched his face go pale. Someone's trying to break us up, I said desperately. This is some kind of setup. But even as I said it, I knew how it sounded. The photos were real. The situation was real. And no matter how much I wanted to blame outside forces, the truth was that I had put myself in this position. Simon finished packing his bag in silence. When he reached the bedroom door, he turned back to me. I'm going to need some time to figure out what I want to do about us, he said. I suggest you use that time to figure out what you want too. Because if you want to be with Danny or anyone else, you need to be honest about it. I won't be anyone's second choice. After he left, I sat alone in our apartment, staring at the anonymous message on my phone. Someone out there had more photos from Friday night. Photos that apparently showed what really happened. The problem was, I still couldn't remember what had really happened. And for the first time since this whole mess started, I was genuinely afraid to find out. The anonymous messages started coming daily. Each one contained a new photo or piece of evidence from Friday night that I didn't remember, and each one was sent to both Simon and me simultaneously, a cruel reminder that someone out there was determined to destroy my relationship. Tuesday, a photo of Danny and me at the bar, his lips close to my ear as he whispered something that made me laugh. Wednesday, a screenshot of Danny's Venmo payment to the Uber driver, with the note, "Thanks for the smooth ride." Thursday, a video clip of me stumbling slightly as we entered Danny's apartment building, his arm around my waist to steady me. By Friday, I was a wreck. I'd barely slept all week, jumping every time my phone buzzed. At work, the whispers had gotten louder, and I'd noticed people stopping conversations when I walked by. Danny, for his part, seemed completely unaware of the drama he'd caused and continued treating me with the same flirty familiarity that had gotten us into this mess in the first place. You look tired, he said when I passed his desk Friday morning. Rough week? Something like that, I muttered, not stopping to chat. But Danny wasn't easily deterred. He followed me to the break room, where I was desperately trying to make coffee with shaking hands. Hey, is everything okay? You've been weird all week. I turned to face him, and for the first time, I really looked at him, at his perfectly styled hair, his expensive shirt, his easy smile that had gotten me into so much trouble. Danny, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Shoot. What exactly happened Friday night? After we got to your apartment? Danny's smile faltered slightly. What do you mean? I mean I was really drunk, and I don't remember everything. I need to know what happened between us. Nothing happened, he said quickly. We talked for a while. You said you felt sick, and I let you crash in my bed. That's it. And you slept in the bed too? Well, yeah, it's my bed. He grinned. Don't worry, I was a perfect gentleman. Mostly. I'm kidding, Lys. Relax. Nothing happened that you need to worry about. but something in his tone made me uneasy. "Danny, this is serious. My relationship is falling apart because of that night. I need to know exactly what happened." "Look," he said, his voice dropping lower, "maybe your boyfriend is just looking for an excuse to break up with you. I mean, if he really trusted you, would he be making such a big deal about this? That's not the point. Maybe the point is that you deserve someone who doesn't get jealous every time you have fun with your friends." I stared at him. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Danny stepped closer, and I caught a whiff of his cologne, the same scent I'd woken up smelling Saturday morning. "I'm saying that if I had a girlfriend like you, I wouldn't let some office party pictures scare me away. Danny, and I'm saying that if you ever get tired of dealing with his drama, you know where to find me." Before I could respond, Jennifer walked into the break room. She took one look at us, standing close together, Danny's hand now resting on the counter next to mine, and raised an eyebrow. "Am I interrupting something?" she asked with a knowing smile. "No," I said quickly, stepping away from Danny. "We were just talking about work." "Sure you were," Jennifer said. "By the way, Lise, my cousin saw your photos from last week. She said you and Danny make a cute couple." "We're not a couple," I protested. I know. You have a boyfriend." Jennifer's tone suggested she thought that was a minor detail. "How's he handling all this, anyway?" "Fine," I lied. "Everything's fine." But everything was not fine. That afternoon, I got a call from my mother. "Lysandra, I just got off the phone with Jean Greaves," she said without preamble. "That woman is spreading vicious rumors about you all over town." My heart sank. "What kind of rumors?" "She's telling everyone that you're having an affair with some man from your office. She showed me pictures on her phone, honey. Very inappropriate pictures." "Mom, I can explain." "You don't need to explain anything to me. I know my daughter, and I know you would never cheat on Simon, but Jean is making it sound like you're some kind of harlot." I could hear the anger in my mother's voice, and I was grateful for her support, even if it was based on a misunderstanding of the situation. "What did you tell her?" I asked. "I told her that if Simon can't handle his girlfriend having friends, maybe he's not man enough for you. And I told her that if she keeps spreading lies about my daughter, she'll be hearing from our lawyer." "Mom, you don't need to." "I absolutely do need to. That family has never thought you were good enough for their precious son, and now they're using this nonsense as an excuse to turn him against you." After I hung up with my mother, I realized that battle lines were being drawn. My family was rallying around me, while Simon's family was rallying around him. What had started as a relationship problem was becoming a full-scale family war. That evening, I decided to take control of the situation. I called Simon and asked him to meet me for coffee so we could talk things through like adults. He agreed, somewhat reluctantly, and we met at a neutral location, a Starbucks halfway between our apartment and his brother's place. Simon looked terrible. His usually neat appearance was disheveled, and he'd lost weight. When he sat down across from me, I could see the pain in his eyes. "Thank you for meeting me," I said. "I figured we needed to talk." "Simon, I want you to know that I've been thinking a lot about what you said, and you're right. I haven't been the girlfriend you deserve lately." He nodded but didn't say anything. I've been so focused on my career and my own needs that I lost sight of what's really important, us. "Lysandra, let me finish, please. I know Friday night looked bad, and I know I've been defensive about it. But I need you to understand that nothing happened between Danny and me. Yes, I made poor choices that night. Yes, I should have come home. But I didn't cheat on you, and I would never cheat on you." Simon was quiet for a long moment. "I want to believe that," he said finally. "Then believe it. Trust me." "It's not that simple anymore." He pulled out his phone and showed me the latest anonymous message. This came an hour ago. The message contained a photo I'd never seen before. Danny and me in his apartment sitting on his couch. I was leaning against him, and his arm was around me. We both had glasses of wine, and we were looking at each other in a way that was unmistakably intimate. "I don't remember this," I whispered. "You don't remember. Or you don't want to remember? I don't remember, I insisted. Simon, someone is trying to sabotage our relationship. Can't you see that? These photos are being sent anonymously. Someone wants us to break up. Why would someone do that? I thought about Danny's words in the break room, about how I deserved someone who wouldn't get jealous. Maybe someone wants me to be available. You think Danny is sending these? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe someone else who has feelings for one of us. Simon studied the photo again. You look happy in this picture. Happier than you've looked with me in months. The observation hit me like a physical blow, because I could see that he was right. In the photo, I looked relaxed and carefree in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. That doesn't mean anything, I said. I was drunk. Were you drunk when you started staying late at work? Were you drunk when you stopped wanting to spend weekends together? Were you drunk when you started talking about Danny all the time? Simon, I've been thinking about this all week, and I keep coming back to the same conclusion. Maybe this isn't really about Friday night. Maybe Friday night was just the symptom of a bigger problem. What bigger problem? Maybe we've grown apart. Maybe you want something different than what I can give you. I felt tears starting to form. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you were excited to see me? When's the last time we had fun together? When's the last time you looked at me the way you're looking at Danny in this photo? I opened my mouth to argue, but no words came. Because the truth was, I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt excited about anything related to our relationship. Somewhere along the way, Simon had become safe and predictable, while Danny represented excitement and possibility. I love you, I said weakly. I love you too, Simon replied, but I'm starting to think that might not be enough. My phone buzzed with a text from Petra. Mum told me about her fight with Simon's mum. This is getting crazy. Are you okay? Then another text, this one from Danny. Heard through the grapevine that your boyfriend's family is talking trash about you. Just want you to know that some of us think you're amazing exactly as you are. I showed Simon the text from Danny, hoping it would prove my point about someone trying to interfere in our relationship. Instead, Simon's face went dark. He's texting you about our relationship problems. I didn't ask him to. How does he even know about my family? Have you been talking to him about us? No. Well, maybe I mentioned that you were upset. Jesus, Lysandra, you've been discussing our private business with the guy you slept with. I didn't sleep with him. But Simon was already standing up. I can't do this anymore. I can't sit here and listen to you lie to my face. I'm not lying. You're lying to yourself if nothing else. You want to be with him? Fine. Be with him. But stop pretending this is about my jealousy or my family or anonymous messages. This is about you making a choice, and you chose him. Simon, please. I'll be by tomorrow to get the rest of my stuff. I think it's best if you're not there. He walked away, leaving me sitting alone in Starbucks with my phone full of incriminating photos and the growing realization that I had destroyed the best relationship I'd ever had. But the worst part, I still couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, Simon was right about everything. Saturday morning, I woke up in our empty apartment to the sound of my phone buzzing incessantly. Simon had already come and gone. I'd spent the night at Petra's place to avoid the confrontation, and the silence in the apartment felt deafening. The messages were from the group chat, and my stomach dropped as I read them. Jennifer, 9:23 a.m. OMG, you guys. Did you see Danny's Instagram story from last night? Mike, 9:25 a.m. Yo. Sarah, 9:27 a.m. Wait, what did I miss? Jennifer, 9:28 a.m. Danny posted a video of him and Liz at Murphy's pub last night. They looked very cozy. I frantically opened Instagram, but Danny's story had already expired. With shaking hands, I called him. Hey, beautiful, he answered on the second ring. How are you feeling this morning? Danny, what did you post on your Instagram story last night? Oh, that. Just a little video of us having drinks. Why? Why? I was incredulous. Because everyone at work saw it. Because my relationship with Simon is already hanging by a thread. Relax, it was just a harmless video. We were having fun. But I was starting to remember pieces of the previous night. After my disastrous coffee meeting with Simon, I'd been devastated. Danny had texted me asking if I was okay, and somehow I'd ended up meeting him for just one drink that had turned into several drinks and a lot of complaining about Simon's unreasonable behavior. Danny, I need you to be completely honest with me. What exactly did we do last night? There was a pause. We had drinks, we talked, I walked you to your Uber. That's it. Well, we may have kissed goodbye, but it was just a friendly kiss. My blood went cold. We kissed? It was nothing, Lise. Just a quick kiss. You were upset, and I was comforting you. And you posted this on social media. I posted a video of us laughing and having a good time. I didn't post the kiss, obviously. I hung up and immediately called Petra. I need to see Danny's Instagram story from last night, I said without preamble. Why? What happened? Please, Petra, it's important. 20 minutes later, Petra arrived at my apartment with her laptop. She'd screenshot Danny's story before it expired. The video was worse than I'd imagined. It showed Danny and me at a corner table at Murphy's pub, sitting close together. I was clearly upset, tears visible on my cheeks, and Danny had his arm around me. The video captured him wiping a tear from my face, and then, at the very end, a quick kiss on my lips. The caption read, "Sometimes you just need to be there for a friend, like your support system, real friends." "Oh, Liz," Petra said softly, "this looks really bad." I stared at the video, trying to remember the moment. I'd been crying about Simon, about how he didn't understand me, about how his family hated me. Danny had been sympathetic, telling me I deserved better, that I was beautiful and smart and any man would be lucky to have me. And then he'd kissed me. And I'd kissed him back. "I'm so stupid," I whispered. "It's not that bad," Petra said, though her tone suggested she didn't believe it. "I mean, you and Simon were basically broken up anyway." "We weren't broken up. We were having problems, but we weren't broken up." My phone rang. It was my mother. "Lysandra, I just got the most disturbing call from Jean Greaves. She says there's a video of you kissing another man." "Mom, I can explain." "She's threatening to show it to the whole family at Oliver's birthday party tomorrow. She says she wants everyone to see what kind of person you really are." Oliver's birthday party. I'd forgotten all about it. It was supposed to be a big family gathering. Both families had been invited, since Simon and I had been together so long that our families had become intertwined. "I'm not going," I said. "You absolutely are going," my mother said firmly. "We are not going to let that woman humiliate you. Your father and I will be there, and Petra will be there, and we're going to show them that we stand behind you 100%. Monday morning, HR suspended me. "We've received complaints about inappropriate conduct with a subordinate," Patricia said, showing Danny's Instagram video. "You're on administrative leave pending investigation." That afternoon, Danny's ex-girlfriend Rebecca called. "Danny's been planning this for months. The party, getting you to his apartment, breaking you up with Simon. He's been sending those anonymous messages. He told his friends he'd steal you away. Now he says you're too much drama and he's moving on." I saw it clearly. Danny had manipulated everything. But I'd given him the opportunity. I'd been attracted to him, emotionally unfaithful, made terrible choices. Oliver called that evening. "Simon's a mess. He's talking about moving to Denver. Do you love my brother?" "Of course." "Then prove it. Stop making excuses and fix this." I was at a crossroads. Keep blaming others, or take responsibility and salvage what remained of my life. Oliver's birthday party divided into camps, my family versus Simon's. Jan confronted me. "I'm surprised you showed your face." My mother defended me fiercely, their voices rising until the whole party watched. Simon pulled me outside. Danny's ex called me. She told me everything, the manipulation, his plan. So you believe me. I don't blame you for being manipulated, but I blame you for being emotionally unavailable, for flirting with him, for lying to me. I don't trust you anymore. We can fix this. No, love isn't enough when you're not someone's priority. You took me for granted. Inside, Oliver revealed worse news. Danny took photos of you unconscious without your shirt. He's been blackmailing you. The room erupted, this time defending me. But I ran, horrified. I'd been victimized and blamed Simon for not trusting me. Even knowing the truth, I couldn't escape feeling I'd gotten what I deserved. Danny was arrested. Detective Martinez called. He'd been systematically targeting women, taking photos while they were unconscious. "You're not his first victim," she said. Simon texted, "Are you okay?" Even after everything, he still cared. At the police station, giving my statement was humiliating. My mother confronted me afterward. "Danny manipulated you, but you gave him the opportunity by being emotionally unfaithful. Simon is gone. You need therapy and to learn from this." She was right. I'd sabotaged everything before Danny arrived. 3 weeks later, Oliver gave me Simon's letter. "I don't hate you. Our relationship was in trouble before Danny. I hope you find happiness and learn to appreciate it." I started therapy. 6 months later, Simon moved to Denver with someone new. Danny got 3 years in prison. It wasn't the ending I'd imagined, but it was what I'd earned. Finally, I was taking responsibility.